I don't mean to pick a fight with somebody on the internet who does this for a living, but they said stuff about business that I felt like I needed to respond to. So let's respond. If you're getting into CNC for money, you are getting into it for the wrong reason. So that was his title. Background. So Full Throttle CNC, link there to his video, totally worth watching. Fundamentally don't agree with a lot of it, but it grazed over some important aspects of what the most successful organizations in the world and the best leaders in the world focus on. And maybe if you're a one-man shop building something, it doesn't matter, but it affects how you approach everything. And so there's this concept of knowing why you're doing something. And this idea of why you do something absolutely impacts the quality and the passion you take to that thing that you're going to do. In the case of CNCs, if you are not actually passionate about having a robot make cool shit for you or for people as a job shop or whatever, you're going to have a hard time maintaining the energy necessary to be successful. Now, Full Throttle CNC, that guy makes amazing knives. He has clearly been doing this for a while before he upgraded to this being his full-time gig. I have no doubt his knives are amazing. I would love to own one of his knives. I would love to have time in his shop. But I think he was reacting to a forum problem, and I think the forum was not right, but was not wrong. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into that whole conversation of whether or not you should get into something just for money. And I'm going to say, no, you shouldn't get into it for just money. I'm even going to go to say, if you're getting into it because of the money, you're getting into it for the wrong reason. So let's start with a little background on me, because why not? Would you listen to me? I've been a software developer for 22 years in enterprise software development. I'm very successful at that space. I'm stupidly passionate about computers, electronics, and automation, which is a natural fit to the physical world because I want to find a way to bridge this passion for technology with a passion for bringing things to life. Because after 20-something years of writing lines of code so accountants' books balance, or it's 12% faster to pick products in a warehouse, you kind of want to do something material. And so, yeah, this is a hobby. I don't do it for full time, but I do it because I'm passionate about it. And if you look at some of the most successful people in this space, I mean, Titan Gilroy of Titans of CNC, the man runs a large job shop, and job shops are a rough space to be, but he is clearly killing it. And when he's killing it, one of the things that nobody can doubt is that he has a passion for it. Now, there's a lot of ways to wrap up passion and think about passion. So why am I saying the word passion? Let's back up to it. Why do I keep using the word passion? So there's two approaches to this word passion. One is the series of books I have a link down in the description called Find Your Why, and before that, Start With Why and then Find Your Why. They're two books. Start With Why encapsulates an idea that this guy Simon, he says it's not his idea. He says it's a revelation or a realization looking at successful heroes, leaders. And in Find Your Why, the idea is that you should start with why you're doing something. Fundamentally understand as an organization or as a person, and he's really focusing on business, but saying for organization, but it absolutely applies to yourself. Understand why you're doing something. And he very specifically says, money is not why you do something. Money is the outcome of doing something. So why are you doing the thing you're doing? I am making chips on this machine. Correction, I will eventually make chips on this machine. That's a whole nother video that we'll eventually get to. So that I can bridge the gap between computers and the physical world, because I love technology and I love making shit. Put those together, this is a natural space to be. This channel is an outbirth of that passion. That's my why. How do I do that? Do I buy I'm $100,000 or $75,000 worth of equipment. My wife is going to look at me funny when she actually does the math in her head. But yeah, it's something like $70,000 or $80,000 worth of stuff between this mill and my router, a couple of lasers and a 3D printer, and it adds up fast. That's the how. And the what, for me right now, the what is making these videos and presenting them to you for zero value. Well, okay, maybe you get a little value. $0 is a better way to put it. Maybe someday I'll be a YouTube sensation, but just kidding. That's not my that's not my desired outcome. It is my tactical excuse that I give my wife when I'm like, honey, I need $800 in tools. And she's looking at me cross-eyed. I'm like, because I'm going to make all of Titan Gilroy. She's right there laughing at me, so it's great. Because I'm going to make all of Titan Gilroy's blocks, so I need all of the tools for that. Tool unboxing coming eventually. Anyways, so if you're still with me, let's actually drive into this idea of passion and why. For me, this was first experienced, or first started getting a glimmer or a grok of this in 2007. Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were on stage together in an interview at D5. I think they're at, I don't even know if they do these anymore. I think D9 was the last one I heard of. But at D5, and this was, I think, the only time they've ever interviewed together. Obviously, they can't interview together anymore. And in that interview, I watched it beginning to end. I was a software developer for 20 years. Of course, I'm going to watch this thing from beginning to end. At that time, it was 12 or 13 years of software development. So, watching this video 11 years ago. At the time, it was live streamed by the New York Times before there was a paywall, before paywalls were a thing. And in it, second question, and actually I went and looked up the video so I could give you exactly where, because there's a link to the video here. Just fast forward to 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 45 seconds. And there's a guy who stands up and he says, hey, I have a startup with about 100 people. And me and my business partner would really like to know, how can we create the kind of value that you, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, created? Now, this is before the iPhone. No, shortly after the iPhone. Like, we're talking months after the iPhone. But actually, I don't remember. Could have been before. If it was before, Steve Jobs was had a big card and like ace up his sleeve. He was turtleneck. He wasn't showing people. Both Steve Jobs and Bill Gates answered ostensibly with the same answer, which is, you have to love it and you have to be passionate about it. And the results will come if you love it and you're passionate about it. Now, they went on to talk about how you grow an organization and some other things, really around management, like picking good people. But as a small shop, that you may be if you're watching this, or maybe thinking about being if you're watching this, or maybe you're in a garage thinking about how do I do something like this. As a small shop, you have to be passionate. And you can't be passionate about money. As much as people say, I love money, I'm Gordon Gekko, greed is good. At the end of the day, it is so hard to do things you're passionate about. The money is never ultimately the driver for those things. Money is the outcome of doing those things. If you are passionate about the thing you love, if there is a space in the market for it, and if there is somebody willing to buy that thing from you, you'll be successful. You might even be successful if there isn't a market for it, and there aren't people willing to pay a lot of money for it, if you're passionate. Because passion is what will drive you to get through the hard times and to the good times. So that's both of them ultimately said. When Bill Gates said, hey, our mission statement in 1979 was a PC in every room, or a PC in every house. He had 32 guys or 30 guys or something that worked for Microsoft at the time. I think they had just released BASIC for the Altair. Might have even still been in Albuquerque. Or no, 79, maybe they were just starting to do DOS. Anyways, tiny company, he wasn't thinking about that. He was like, this is a cool BHAG. If you don't know what BHAG is, look it up. Big, hairy, audacious goal. He wrote it down, and they stood on that mission statement for a long time. Microsoft recently just changed it. I might cut into here. I might go download it and cut into here, because again, it is a great mission statement that has nothing to do with money. I have a whole rant about why the addition of to increase stockholder wealth was a horrible thing to do to mission statements. I worked for several companies where that was in the mission statement, and it zapped this love out of those companies. It really did, because long story. Anyways, like I said, I'm going to cut in here and put Microsoft's current mission statement, because it's beautiful. It really is a beautiful piece of work. All right, so here's my cut in. I went and looked it up. I should have memorized this, but I didn't. I might do Microsoft software for a living, but I'm not like a... Anyways, so this is a segment of speech that I found really impactful. I think it's when they released the Surface laptop. It might have been the Surface Book. I'm pretty sure it's the Surface laptop they released when this came out. Satya Nadella comes out on the stage after, I don't remember who does the laptop, and he says, there's actually more speech to this, but this is the most important part of the speech, and it emphasizes their mission statement. And at Microsoft, our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. That's their why. That is Microsoft's passion. And from that, Microsoft makes all of their decisions and how they approach the world. It really is. And if you look at how Satya Nadella does things, it's pretty true. And he goes on to say, we're a company that stands for builders, the makers, the creators. That's who we are. Every choice we make is about finding the balance between consumption and creative expression. So in that encapsulation, he has done a great job of showing the passion as a leader for Microsoft. And if you look at Microsoft's turnaround, that is something that, love him or hate him, Ballmer wasn't great at, was creating passion and creating a desire to follow him and creating direction. Despite everything that Ballmer did right, direction and passion weren't them. But here they are. You can see clearly that. And I thought that was it's relevant to the story. And Microsoft went from a very clear, passionate message of a PC in every home to this very powerful, empowering everybody. Back to your normally recorded rant. So passion has to drive you. You can't be passionate about money. Money's the outcome. What you can be passionate about is the thing you do to make money. I am sure Effenberg Knives, which is Full Throttle, I am sure, positive that he is passionate about making beautiful knives. Now, it's true. His position, you cannot do it. You have to go into it knowing you are going to be able to cover your mortgage and your equipment and your food on the table, and if you have a family, what the family needs. You can't do anything without those things. But if you don't have passion, it doesn't. The other side of it becomes hollow, and especially in something that's going to drive you nuts, like starting a company of any kind. If you don't have the passion to drive through that, you're going to quit. You're going to quit, or you're going to go insane. Maybe you're already insane if you're thinking about doing it. So that's my response. Real quick, I want to go back to the starts with why. So your passion is your why, and you have to start there. I think I've already explained this. Maybe I'm rambling a bit, but really, if you're interested in this space, figure out why you're interested in this space. If you're interested in getting into a job shop, what appeals to you, the job shop? Why is that interesting? Because if you're passionate about a job shop, yeah, you're going to be competing in a market with 12 other guys. But if a client sees that you're going to do what it takes to make it right for that client, even if you're more expensive, you might be picked. I'm in an industry that is commonly caught by, can I do it cheaper somewhere else? And the company I work for is my day job. We are not the cheapest. But a client knows that they're hiring people who want to do this, who are passionate about solving their technical problems, and subsequently they will hire us even though we're more expensive. So it is not always a race to the bottom. You can have a premium product even in a commodity space if you have a passion for it. So that's the driver. And if you look at everybody successful, you'll find that. There's a great story. So card here to the full Simon, I don't know his last name. He did a Puget Sound, very business focused TEDx where he talks about Start With Why. And he has this story where he talks about the Wright brothers versus this other guy, and I don't know his name. Go watch it. But here's the interesting thing. The Wright brothers had no money. They worked on this in their spare time in their bike shop. They were competing against a guy who was incredibly well known, had been funded by the at the time Department of War in early turn of the century United States, to the tune of 50 grand, which back then that's a lot of money. That's probably, you know, add a couple of digits, it's probably $5-10 million, maybe more in today's money. I'll probably do the calculation and stick it like right here. And he went out and hired a bunch of smart people, but he was in it for the glory. He wanted to be the guy who flew first. He didn't necessarily care about flight. Well, the Wright brothers loved the idea of flight. They were in love with this. And so, who do you think, obviously you know the answer to this, who do you think figured out flight first? Powered flight, man-powered flight was figured out by the Wright brothers first. And they did it out of love and passion. They had next to no resources in comparison to this guy. And the most interesting thing that I learned from this video was the guy quit the day after that the news made it to Washington, D.C. that these people in Katy Hawk had figured out manned flight. The day after. He's like, oh, somebody else figured it out. I'm done. I'm walking. So if you're in it for the money, and I think this is what the forums try to get to. If you're in it for the money, then when you get adversity, you're going to walk away. But if you're in it because you have passion for it, the money will come. As long as assuming you're doing the right things, if you have the right market space, you have the right marketing message, and you essentially you have to sell the idea. But passion will help sell it. Yeah, so I hope I'm not really picking a fight. Maybe I did. I do actually love Full Throttle CNC's videos. I watch all of them. I think he comes from a very interesting perspective. We both have long, maybe his is, I don't know whose is longer, but we both have engine, probably his. I think he looks a little older than I am. No harm, no foul. That's legit, right? So he has more experience and is wiser, maybe. But the point being is that we both have storied histories outside of being a small shop making parts. In his case, he's made the leap to be a small shop making knives. God bless him. I haven't made that leap, obviously. I actually like what I do during my daytime too, so it's a longer leap if I were even to make that. But I love his videos. I love what he does. But I felt compelled after watching that video to respond in this kind of rambly, vloggy thing. So yeah, go subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. And he's on Instagram. I'll go ahead and put a link to his Instagram too, because his knives look awesome. The finish that he's getting with his Haas is bejesus awesome. And someday this thing will make chips. That's going to be a great story. Anyways, thanks for watching. All right. You're stuck there, aren't you? Do you want to watch me babble at the...
Sure, I'm gonna. Well, I'm gonna go see if I can grab my coffee.
Okay.
Jammy wife.
We're totally putting this at the end of the.
Ninja Jammy wife.
this whole thing. This is our closing. Yep, all of this. Me talking to you while the camera's rolling.
Yeah, and me trying to get over here with my coffee.
And the whole Jammy wife comments as well. Oh yeah. It's gonna put the level of professionalism necessary to wrap the conversation that the person will have just heard.
Right in perspective.
Yeah.